Today I want to talk about the importance of not focusing on your guitar gear and focusing on the things that are really important to learning guitar. And I'm going to start with sort of a confession that there was really only one time where I changed my equipment and it actually helped me. When I moved from a classical guitar to a steel string guitar, for me, things really changed and clicked, and a lot of it had to do with the way that the instrument responds, the resonation you get from the strings. And what ended up happening is I did end up playing more, and I was really excited about playing the instrument in a different way. And the reality is that that kind of change is pretty rare in your guitar experience. Most type of gear changes are not going to be that different, and most of the time we're chasing the feeling of being successful, not necessarily a solution. So it's this fantasy or mystery about, oh, if I only have this, I'll be great, or if I only do that, I'll be a lot better. And unfortunately, there is no silver bullet in getting better with guitar. And the real problem is that you're getting stuck on the fact that you think it has to do with the instrument. And you could say things like, well, this instrument doesn't have the warm sound that I want, or I'm just not inspired to play this instrument, or, this isn't the right guitar for me. Now, if you keep going with this fantasy version of, what an amazing guitar player is like, you're not going to get better. The gear won't change and make you better. You're still going to play terrible. So we need to shift the message and hear the hard truth. And the real hard truth is that the only way you're going to get better is to hear this hard truth, which is that you're just going to need to change how you're viewing your success. And it will be freeing to understand the things that you do need to do in order to become a better musician. And the gear does not make the musician. You're the musician. And so the only thing that you can do to change that is three things that I'm going to talk about. One, you're going to need more time with the instrument in practicing and learning. You're going to need to connect with your instrument, so feeling the music as much as you're learning the technical how to play a chord or how to strum. It's connecting with the instrument and the music. And the third thing is really just showing up every day and making sure that you're learning something every day. And most people don't really quit because the guitar isn't good enough. They quit because they didn't feel rewarded by the overall process. And some of it is that they didn't understand what really is required to go into the process. Because it has to be rewarding, you need to think about that you don't want to be bored. So you need to get into this mode where you're thinking about the joy of the instrument, and really, instead of using gear as the excuse or your guitar as the excuse, that you just understand that you're just using these as excuses, and you need to stop doing that. So let's move on to what you could do with, if you had infinite money, could you just go into a guitar store and put down some money on, or your credit card on the counter and say, hey, I want to be a great musician, and pay somebody? Well, you can pay somebody for lessons, or you can do peripheral things to help you learn, take a class, this type of thing. But that isn't going to be the answer either. So you need to think about that. You can't just pay for the solution in all cases. You can't just walk into the store and say, oh, now suddenly I can play better. You're still going to have to put this effort in. So while you may want to invest in yourself in a class or a video or some kind of training, you still have to show up all the time. And no matter how expensive your guitar is or how much money you spend on lessons, if you don't invest in yourself and the time to get better, you're just going to be stuck in the same spot that you started in. So the things that you actually need to do is what I want to focus on for today's video, which is the things that are actually going to move the needle on making you a better guitar player. And the first thing is that you need to have a positive relationship with your instrument. So you can't think of it as the enemy and it's your friend, and you need to pick up the instrument and think about it as that you are playing to have fun and enjoyment. It shouldn't bring overwhelming pressure to each time you pick up the guitar, be afraid that you're not going to play the right note or you're not going to sing right or something like that. You just need to work on improving and just playing, and each day continuing to make mistakes, but every day you'll get a little bit better. The other thing that actually matters is that you're able to play songs that you enjoy and that make you forget about time. Time goes by while you're enjoying playing. And then not wanting, if you decide, oh, I don't want to play these exercises, don't. Just do what you feel comfortable in doing. And then again, this brings us back around to enjoying the things that you are doing with the guitar. The next thing is consistency. And I have learned that it's better to show up and play 10 minutes a day every day than it is to not show up at all and play 0. And that's one of the hard truths to hear. And I think about how people always talk about, well, you know, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, in a way, singing 2 to 3 songs a day can make you a better guitar player. So it's just that doing the same thing every day and committing that you're going to spend time on this hobby. And the last thing I wanted to talk about as things that can impact your guitar playing skills, and that's reducing friction. So you need to remove obstacles to being able to play. And I have this example kind of show behind me, which is the guitar hanging on the wall. So it's easy and accessible, and I can just pick it up and play whenever I want. There's no setup really required. It's most of the time the tune, I don't really need to tune it because it doesn't go out of tune very often. And when I pick up the guitar, I don't think about the expectation or the outcome that I'm going to get. I just think about having fun and playing, maybe learning a song, maybe learning something new, and sort of taking away that fear, basically. So let's talk about like what really gear is, or your equipment is. And I think the bottom line here is that you really need to have a decent guitar, and it just needs to be able to, you need to be able to get it to tune. The other key pieces of equipment, I think, are to remove barriers to your playing. So one of them is going to be the tuner. So you need to make sure it's easy to tune your guitar and have it easily accessible. Some people use their phone, but I found the actual physical tuner is easy, and then I just keep it with a guitar. And then the other piece of equipment, which is an item to remove your barriers, is enabling you to quickly change the key of a song or to play songs that maybe you wouldn't be able to play if you didn't have this device, and that's the capo that you clip onto the neck of the guitar so you can change the key quickly. And for me, these are tools that remove a barrier to being able to play. And I think that those are the 3 things. I call it the trifecta. You just need a guitar, a tuner, and a capo, and you don't really need anything else except yourself and your attitude when you show up to play. So, if we kind of come back to this concept of removing barriers to being able to play, I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience with switching from classical to steel string. And for me, it was just a frustration that the instrument didn't really align with what I was interested in, and it didn't play the same way. So if you do need new equipment, think about what roadblock you are trying to eliminate and consider what you really need before you go and spend more money on a guitar, because you don't want to, say, buy a guitar and then you're not happy with it. So I do encourage people to spend some time thinking about what they really want, especially if they already have something and they're moving to something else, because you don't want to be disappointed. You can always, I guess I don't want people to feel like they're stuck with some guitar that just isn't bringing them joy. I personally don't play electric guitar, and at this point in time, I'm not really excited about that. So other people may have other changes that they want to make. Maybe they're playing an acoustic guitar and they do want to move to electric, or they're playing electric and they want to come to an acoustic. So whatever thing you think is going to really move the needle on being able to improve your ability to have joy with the instrument. That's the bottom line. And when you do change or upgrade your equipment, it may not always increase your motivation, but it can cause delays. And I'll give an example. When I first picked up the steel string guitar, it was a lot different. The feeling, playing with the steel strings is a lot harder on your fingers. It's the neck of the guitar is smaller, so it's actually getting used to that was a change. And so while I had some good positives, I also was set back a bit because I had to sort of relearn or adjust the way that I was playing. So let's move on to, okay, what would be my advice to you going forward as far as what you think about different types of guitar equipment and what to be worried about. So first of all, if you're waiting to be able to buy some $10,000 guitar, like, don't let that be a barrier. Find some other thing that you can do, maybe a lower cost, that you can start playing immediately. Forget about the big dreams and the fantasies. Start with something simple. And you're ready today. You don't have to wait. And you don't need to get permission to start from anyone except for yourself. So go ahead and get started. And you don't need to upgrade your equipment. Whatever you have is fine. So again, don't wait for the spending more money on things that are really not going to help you play better. And you need a way of, I guess, feeling good with how you can play now and embracing that in order to get better. So the last thing is that if you want a fun, easy way to learn guitar, I have a number of other videos on how to pick your equipment, so some equipment reviews. I talk about my experience with the Taylor GS Mini that I showed earlier, and check those out. My view is that playing guitar should be about joy and not frustration, and you need to try and just do and not just sit around and wait. And it's about eliminating roadblocks when you're choosing your equipment. It's not just buying senseless or gear that you're not going to need. And please check out those videos in the description below. And I'm going to leave you with the most important thing you need to remember about gear. Your best instrument is the one that you actually play. So maybe you should get off of this video and go start playing today.